Life responds to clarity, and clarity doesn't show up by accident. It's created through intention, vision, and a well-crafted plan. The truth is simple. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. That may sound harsh, but it's one of life's unshakable laws. It doesn't matter how sincere you are, how much talent you carry, or how big your dreams seem. Without a plan, you drift. Have you ever seen a ship drift into a desired harbor? Never. Ships drift onto rocks, they drift into storms, but they never drift into purpose. Life works the same way. You can be busy all day, every day, and still not go anywhere. Activity doesn't always mean progress. Some people are moving fast but going in circles. A plan is what gives movement meaning. It gives your energy direction. Planning is the bridge between your ideas and your accomplishments. Success isn't a mystery, it's a recipe, and every recipe has ingredients. Planning is one of the first. Without it, you're throwing ingredients into the pot without knowing what you're cooking, or worse, hoping it turns out well. That's not strategy, that's gambling. A solid plan answers key questions. Where am I now? Where do I want to go? What must I do daily, weekly, and monthly to get there? What are my non-negotiables? What distractions must I avoid? These are not optional questions for those who want to live intentionally. These are the blueprints for achievement. Planning doesn't make you immune to failure, but it gives you a fighting chance. It's not perfection you need, it's direction. When you plan, you prepare. And when you prepare, you position yourself to seize opportunities others miss. Some people say, well, I'll just go with the flow, but the flow never built anything worthwhile. The flow never launched a business. The flow never built a legacy. The flow never changed a life. Those who follow the flow usually end up wherever the crowd is going, which is often nowhere. Planning requires discipline. It's easier to wing it, but easy never leads to excellence. Excellence is built in the moments when no one is watching, when you're up early reviewing your goals, when you're refining your calendar, when you're cutting out the things that waste your time. That's where progress hides. And don't mistake planning for procrastination. Planning is not an excuse to delay. It's a strategy to act with precision. When you plan well, you execute faster because you're not guessing. You're not wondering. You're not stuck in indecision. You're moving with focus. The most fulfilled people don't just live reactively. They live with vision. They don't wait for life to hand them something. They chart a course and pursue it with consistency. They know that failure to plan doesn't just result in disappointment. It leads to regret. And regret is the heaviest of all burdens. You don't need to have the perfect plan to start, but you need a plan to move. And as you move, your plan evolves. But starting with something, even if small, gives structure to your purpose and motion to your dreams. So the choice is yours. You can keep reacting, or you can start designing. You can keep hoping, or you can start building. And the moment you commit to the plan is the moment the future begins to shift in your favor. A dream is a powerful thing. It's the spark, the vision, the thing that wakes you up in the morning with energy and hope. But a dream alone isn't enough. Dreams are like seeds. You can have a pocket full of them, but until they're planted, watered, and cared for, they don't become anything. A clear plan is the soil, the structure, the strategy that gives your dream a chance to grow into something real. People don't fail because they don't dream big. Most people have big dreams. They talk about them, they think about them, they get excited when they hear a motivational talk or see someone else living theirs. But here's the missing link. They never create a plan. Without a plan, a dream is just a wish, a hope, a someday. And the trouble with someday is, it's not on the calendar. Clarity changes everything. When you get clear about what you want and how to get there, your energy shifts. You stop wasting time. You stop second guessing. You stop bouncing from one thing to the next. A plan brings structure to inspiration. It takes a dream floating in the clouds and begins the process of bringing it down to earth. A plan does not have to be complicated. It just needs to be clear. What do you want? Why do you want it? What are the steps? What's the timeline? Who do you need to become to reach it? What are the distractions to eliminate? These are the questions that shape a dream into something actionable. And here's the secret. Once you write it down, once you break it down, once you put dates next to the steps, the impossible starts to look possible. You realize that big things are just small things stacked daily, that the distance between where you are and where you want to go is not a mystery. It's a matter of consistent, planned effort. Planning gives you a way to measure progress. Without it, how do you know if you're getting closer? How do you stay encouraged when obstacles come? With a plan, you can look at your week and say, I'm 3 steps closer than I was last week. That kind of progress fuels persistence. Now, plan doesn't mean everything will go perfectly. Life has its surprises. But when you have a plan, you're not caught off guard. You can adjust, you can reroute, you can adapt because you know where you're going. The traveler with a map still makes it to the destination, even if there's traffic or detours along the way. But the traveler without a plan, he just wanders. Some people fear planning because it makes the dream feel heavy. They like the excitement of imagining it, but not the responsibility of organizing it. But that's the difference between fantasy and vision. Fantasy is fun for a moment. Vision shapes your future, and vision requires structure. It's easy to stay in the dream phase because it costs nothing to imagine. But everything worthwhile demands effort, and planning is part of that cost. The good news, it pays dividends. Planning saves time, it multiplies your energy, it turns vague effort into laser-focused action. A clear plan also builds confidence. When you know what to do next, you stop doubting yourself so much. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just the next step and the next. And as you take those steps, momentum builds. What felt overwhelming begins to feel doable, and what once felt distant becomes familiar. Every builder needs blueprints. Every pilot needs a flight path. Every successful life begins with a plan. You don't have to plan every detail of the next 10 years, but you need to know where you're heading in the next 10 days. A dream without a plan is like a car with no steering wheel, full of power but no control. So take the time, sit down, think deeply, write your vision, break it down, ask the hard questions, set the right priorities. And remember, the moment you start planning is the moment your dream begins to take shape. Not in the clouds, not in your imagination, but in the real world. Because a clear plan doesn't just organize your time. It organizes your life. It gives your energy a purpose. It gives your days a direction. And most importantly, it gives your dream a chance. Life doesn't hand out rewards to the wishful. It rewards the prepared. It looks for the person who did the work before the opportunity showed up. Preparation is often invisible, quiet, even boring. But when the moment comes, it's what separates those who rise from those who fall behind. Too many people are waiting for the perfect time. They think they'll get ready once the door opens. But it doesn't work that way. By the time the door opens, it's too late to prepare. You're either ready or you're not. Life is fast and opportunities rarely wait. When the moment comes, it comes suddenly. And the question isn't, do you want it? The question is, are you ready for it? Preparation doesn't guarantee opportunity, but it guarantees you won't waste it when it comes. You don't know when the breakthrough will arrive, but you can be sure it will be too quick for those who didn't see it coming. And life has a way of testing the unprepared, not to punish them, but to prove a point. You can't shortcut the process. Think about a farmer. He doesn't plant seeds in the middle of harvest. He plants in season, tends the field daily, and waits patiently. The harvest is a reward for months of preparation. You can't skip the work and expect the reward. It doesn't happen in agriculture, and it doesn't happen in life. Preparation builds confidence. When you've done the work, you walk differently. You speak with clarity. You don't panic under pressure. You're not scrambling to catch up. You're moving with calm and control. That's the power of preparation. It removes fear because you've already handled what others are just now facing. But preparation takes discipline. It means showing up when no one's clapping. It means studying when you'd rather relax, training when you'd rather coast, sacrificing when you'd rather indulge. That's why most people don't do it. They want the reward without the work. But life doesn't function like that. It only trusts what's been tested. Even the smallest habits of preparation compound over time. Reading a few pages each day, practicing a new skill after hours, rehearsing your message in private, these aren't grand actions, but they add up. And one day, they pay off. One day someone will ask, Sat, how did you do it? And your answer will be simple. Son, I prepared. Preparation also honors the opportunities ahead of you. It says, Sens, I value what's coming so much that I'm getting ready for it now. That mindset opens doors. It attracts mentors, builds credibility, and builds trust. People notice those who are always ready. They say, and give the job to her. She's always sharp. Trust him. He's steady and prepared. That's not luck. That's the reward of preparation. Some people prepare and still experience delays. That's part of life too. But don't confuse delay with denial. There are seasons where preparation is the only thing you can do, and that's not wasted time. It's investment time. You may not see the fruit yet, but the roots are going deep. The foundation is being laid. And when the time comes, you'll be the one who can stand while others collapse. And here's something else. Preparation builds character. You learn patience, humility, endurance. You stop depending on applause and start relying on discipline. You discover how much you're capable of when you commit, even when no one's watching. That internal strength, that's more valuable than any outward success. Success doesn't show up and transform you. It reveals you. And if you haven't done the preparation, success becomes a burden instead of a blessing. But if you're prepared, success fits. It feels right. You can carry it without being crushed by it. So wherever you are right now, whether the door is wide open or still locked, keep preparing. Use the quiet season. Master the basics. Strengthen your core. Build your habits. Sharpen your mind. Because when your time comes, you won't have time to get ready. You'll need to be ready. Life doesn't reward potential. It rewards preparation. And the best way to honor your future is to prepare for it today. Activity alone is not achievement. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're moving forward. Just because you're working hard doesn't mean you're working smart. Without a plan, activity becomes empty motion, movement without progress, effort without direction, motion that leads nowhere meaningful. Think about a rocking chair. There's a lot of movement, a lot of motion, but you don't go anywhere. That's how many people live, constantly in motion, constantly doing something, but not really moving closer to anything that matters. They wake up, hustle through the day, check off to-do lists, respond to messages, put out fires, but they're still stuck in the same place year after year. Why? Because they never stopped to plan. They never asked where they were going or why they were doing what they were doing. You can be efficient and still be ineffective. You can do 100 things in a day, but if none of those things are tied to a bigger vision, you're just spinning your wheels. Productivity isn't about volume, it's about value. It's not about how much you do, it's about whether what you're doing is moving you in the right direction. A plan is what turns effort into progress. It tells you what matters and what doesn't. It helps you say no to distractions and yes to priorities. Without a plan, you react to everything around you. You become a slave to the urgent and neglect the important. You end the day exhausted but unfulfilled, wondering why all that motion left you feeling so stuck. It's easy to mistake movement for momentum, but momentum has direction. Momentum is movement tied to purpose, and purpose only comes through planning. It's not enough to be in motion. You need to know where that motion is leading. You need to wake up with a reason, not just a routine. Planning doesn't kill creativity, it sharpens it. It gives you a framework. It creates boundaries that actually increase your freedom. When you know where you're going, you stop wasting energy on roads that lead nowhere. You start investing time, energy, and attention in things that actually produce results. You start living intentionally instead of accidentally. Without a plan, your days blur together. One week melts into the next, and suddenly years pass and nothing has changed. You keep saying someday, but someday never arrives unless you make it a priority. A plan pulls someday into today, gives you the steps, it gives you the structure, it puts you in the driver's seat. Some people say, so I'm just going with the flow. But the flow doesn't lead anywhere on purpose. The flow takes you wherever the current wants to go. If you don't decide where you're headed, life will decide for you, and you may not like where you end up. A clear plan answers the tough questions. What's my goal? Why does it matter? What's the next step? What can I stop doing that isn't helping? What's wasting my time, draining my energy, or keeping me busy but not productive? These questions are uncomfortable, but they're necessary. Because when you don't ask them, you live on autopilot. And autopilot doesn't take you anywhere new, it just keeps you flying in circles. Planning takes effort up front. It requires thinking, prioritizing, choosing. That's why many avoid it. They prefer to stay busy. Busy feels productive. It feels safe. But busyness without direction is just noise. It's distraction disguised as diligence. The truth is, people don't burn out because they're doing too much. They burn out because they're doing too much of the wrong things. They're constantly in motion without meaning. That's what drains the soul, exerting all that energy and seeing no progress. A plan brings your focus back. It reminds you what you're building and why it's worth it. So stop and ask yourself, is what I'm doing today connected to where I want to be tomorrow? If not, it's time to stop the motion and make a plan. Not a perfect plan, just a clear one. one step, one page, one direction. Because once your activity is backed by vision, strategy, and purpose, you'll find that you don't have to work harder. You'll just work better. And better work always leads to better results. Motion is easy, progress is earned, and progress only comes when motion is guided by a plan. A goal without a plan is like a ship without a rudder, adrift, vulnerable, and directionless. You may be afloat, you may have great potential, you may even have the wind at your back, but without a rudder, you'll never steer your way to the destination. You'll go wherever the current takes you. And the current isn't always kind. Goals are essential. They give you a picture of what you want your life to look like. They inspire you to dream beyond your current reality, but a goal by itself is just a picture on a wall. It's not a strategy, it's not a system, it's not movement. That's where planning comes in. The plan is what gives the goal traction. It's what makes the goal believable and achievable. It's the rudder that lets you navigate the waves of life with intention. Without a plan, even the best goal will slip away. Life is full of distractions. Every day pulls at your time and attention. And if you don't have a plan, you'll end up spending your days reacting to the urgent rather than building the important. A plan keeps your eyes on the horizon. It reminds you, that's where I'm going. That's what I'm working toward. Imagine a captain announcing a journey without a map, without coordinates, without any instruments. Just pure hope that the ship will somehow end up at the right place. That's how some people live. They speak boldly about where they want to go, but when you ask how they'll get there, there's silence. They're missing the rudder. Now, planning doesn't mean the seas will always be smooth. Storms will come, winds will change. But if you've got a rudder, a clear, intentional plan, you can adjust your sails. You can stay on course even when the weather isn't ideal. But if you don't have that plan, that storm can toss you anywhere. You won't just lose time, you'll lose direction. And that's much harder to recover. A plan breaks down the goal into daily actions. It turns someday into a calendar event. It takes you from general ambition to specific execution. It helps you see what to do today that connects to where you want to be tomorrow. Without that connection, it's too easy to drift. And drifting is dangerous because it feels like motion, but it's not progress. The rudder is not the biggest part of the ship. In fact, it's one of the smallest, but it has the power to direct the entire journey. That's what a plan does. It may not be flashy. It may not feel exciting when you sit down to create it, but it's what makes the difference between arrival and regret, between finishing strong or never starting at all. And here's another truth. Goals without plans invite frustration. When you keep setting goals but never achieve them, it's not because the goal was wrong. It's because the structure was missing. Over time, that gap creates discouragement. People begin to doubt themselves, their potential, even their worth, not because they weren't capable, but because they never built the system to support the goal. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You just need a clear one. Write down your goal. Then ask, what does the first step look like? What can I do today, this week, this month? Keep it simple. Keep it honest. The plan will evolve as you move. But don't wait for the plan to be perfect before you begin. A moving ship can adjust course. A ship sitting at the dock can't go anywhere. And don't let fear of failure keep you from planning. Some people avoid making plans because they don't want to be held accountable to their own goals. But accountability is what gives your dream weight. It's what turns imagination into commitment. The most successful people aren't the ones with the biggest goals. They're the ones who consistently steer toward them. They check their course. They correct as needed. But they never sail aimlessly. They understand the power of the rudder. So set your goal, then pick up the rudder. Don't just dream about where you want to go. Plot a course and start steering. Because no matter how beautiful the ship or how strong the wind, without a rudder, you'll never reach the shore that was meant for you. Planning doesn't guarantee success, but it positions you for it. That's an important truth to understand. Life has no guarantees. Even with the best preparation, setbacks will come, surprises will show up. But here's what's equally true. Without a plan, your chances of success drop to nearly zero. Planning puts you in the right posture to receive, to respond, and to rise when the opportunity finally appears. A good plan won't remove every obstacle, but it will give you a foundation. It will keep you focused when things get tough. It will help you stay anchored when the winds of distraction, discouragement, and delay try to blow you off course. It's like building a house on a solid structure. You might still face the storm, but your structure is sound. You're not scrambling when others are panicking. You're steady because you planned ahead. The world often celebrates the overnight success, but what it doesn't show you is the 10 years of quiet planning that happened before the spotlight. The discipline, the failure, the trial and error, the revisions. Success often appears sudden, but it's built in silence, and that silence is filled with strategy. Planning gives you clarity. When you know what you're aiming for and how you're going to get there, your actions gain purpose. You don't waste your time chasing things that don't matter. You don't say yes to every invitation, every project, every idea. You get selective, and that's powerful. Not everything deserves your energy. A plan helps you conserve your strength for the things that count. Now, some people say, why plan if life is unpredictable? But that's exactly why you need a plan, because life is unpredictable. Planning helps you prepare for both the known and the unknown. It gives you options. It gives you control over what you can control. You can't predict the weather, but you can bring an umbrella. You can't control the economy, but you can budget wisely. You can't stop all problems, but you can prepare a wise response. That's what planning does. It equips you. Think of planning like training. An athlete doesn't know exactly how the game will unfold, but they train anyway. They don't wait until game day to get in shape or learn the plays. Why? Because when the moment comes, there's no time to get ready. You have to be ready. It's the same with life. Planning gets you in shape for your future, and planning does something else. It builds belief. When you see a clear path laid out, even if it's challenging, something inside you says, I can do this. That belief fuels consistency. It turns big, intimidating goals into daily achievable actions. It gives you momentum. And momentum is what carries you through the days when motivation runs low. But planning isn't just about charts, calendars, and checklists. It's about intentional living. It says, I value my future enough to prepare for it today. That mindset alone sets you apart. Most people are just reacting to life. They're putting out fires. They're hoping things work out. But those who plan are different. They're not just hoping, they're building. Will every plan succeed exactly as written? No. Plans will shift. Circumstances will change. That's why flexibility is part of the process. But even when you have to adjust the details, the destination remains clear. You're not lost. You're just rerouting. And that's the difference between those who give up and those who finish. A plan is a declaration. It says, I'm not leaving my life to chance. It's a sign of maturity, of leadership, of ownership. You may not have control over the outcome, but you're showing that you take your goals seriously enough to create a path toward them. You may not succeed immediately. You may stumble. You may revise your plan more times than you can count. But every hour you spend planning is an investment in your growth, your resilience, and your future. So no, planning doesn't guarantee success, but it gives you a map, a direction, and a reason to keep going when the road gets hard. And that kind of preparation doesn't just increase your odds, it changes your identity. You're no longer someone waiting for success to happen. You're someone preparing for it to arrive.